Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In the last video, we learned about conditional statements, conditional operators, and logical operators. In this video, we are going to finish the next few challenges on Codecademy. Truthy and Falsy values. Truthy and Falsy values can be used to represent variables which are not Boolean data types. If you remember, Boolean data types are the ones which can hold only one of two values, that is true or false. Examples of some falsy values are 0, empty strings, null, undefined, or NaN, which stands for not a number. In this example, we are declaring a variable myVariable and giving it a string value of iExist. Next, we are passing this variable to an if condition, and if it is true, we will log the value of myVariable to the console. Else, if it is not true, we will log this string to the console. So now the my variable does not hold an empty string. That means it is a truthy value. So that means since my variable is a truthy value, this if condition will return true, and therefore the value of my variable will be logged to the console. Now let's come to the next example. We are declaring another variable number of apples and giving it a value of 0. Again, we are passing this variable to an if condition, and if it returns true, we will log this string to the console. Else if it returns false, we will log this string to the console. Since 0 is a falsy value, the if condition will return false, and the code in the else block will get executed. So the string no apples left will be logged to the console. Let's come to the instructions. Change the value of word count so that it is truthy. This value should still be a number. So now the value of word count is 0. If we change it to 1, it automatically becomes a truthy value because 1 is not a falsy value here. After you make this change and run your code, great, you started your work, should log to the console. Okay, so now let's see how that will come. The if condition says if word count console.log this string, else console.log this string. So if word count is a truthy value, this string will be logged to the console. And we just change the value of word count to a truthy value. So if we run the code, let's see what happens. Great, you started your work has just come to the console, which is what we've expected. Change the value of favorite phrase so that it is still a string but falsy. After you make this change and run your code, this string is definitely empty, should log to the console. So if you want to have a falsy string value, we must come back over here and see an empty string is a falsy value. So we come over here and delete everything within the pair of single quotes, and now it's a falsy value. And this code block is similar to this if else condition over here. So now since favorite phrase is a falsy value, this string should be logged to the console. Let's run and see what happens. This string is definitely empty, is logged to the console as expected. Truthy and falsy assignment. This concept is used in a variety of situations. Assume you have written a program which takes in values from the user like their name and age. The user can enter any value they want. Before the program takes in values from the user, the variables which holds these values will have been assigned falsy values like the ones we saw in the previous lesson. Let's come to this example over here. We have declared a variable default name, and then we are checking if this variable username is a falsy value. We can assume that username is another variable declared before this example which holds the value of a user input. So if username is a truthy value, the value of default name will be assigned the value of username. Else if username is a falsy value, the value of default name will be stranger. There is one more way to write these statements more concisely. It is called the short circuit method. So this statement is equivalent to these set of statements over here. So what this means is let default name is equal to username or stranger. So if username is a truthy value, assign the value of username to default name. Else assign the string stranger to default name. Let's come to the instructions. Let's use short circuit evaluation to assign a value to writing utensil. Do not edit tool yet, we return to tool in the next step. Assign to writing utensil the value of tool, and if tool is falsy, assign the default value of pen. So we come over here, writing utensil is already declared for us. So all we have to do is assign to writing utensil the value of tool. So we come over here and say tool, if it is a truthy value. Else if it is not a truthy value, all we have to assign the value of writing utensil is pen. So let's run the code and see what happens. The pen is mightier than the sword is locked to the console. So now let's review this code. Writing utensil will hold the value of pen because tool is a falsy value because it's an empty string over here. So now the value of writing utensil will be locked to the console because it is put over here. Notice that the text the pen is mightier than the sword is locked to the console, which means the value of writing utensil is pen. What if we reassign the tool to marker? Let's see what happens with the value of writing utensil. So let's come to tool and write marker within the pair of single quotes. So now tool is a truthy value. So now the writing utensil will hold the value of marker and not pen. So let's run the code and see what happens. The marker is mightier than the sword, which is correct. I mean, the code is not correct, but the code runs correctly. Ternary operators. Ternary operators are used to compress if-else statements into one line of code. So in this example, we are declaring a value of a variable of is nighttime and giving it a value of true. If is nighttime is true, we will log this string to the console, else we will log this string to the console. But there's a lot of code to write. So a ternary operator simplifies this for us. So this single statement does the exact same job as this full set of statements over here. So what this means is nighttime question mark means that this variable is what is passed with the if condition. So if it is true, we will console.log this string to the console. Else the colon means else in a ternary operator. Else we will console.log this string to the console, turn off the lights. It's very simple. So now let's come to the instructions. Refactor or edit the first if-else block to use a ternary operator. So this is the first if-else block. The value of is locked is false, and if is locked is true, this string will be locked to the console. Else this string will be locked to the console. So let the declaration be as it is, and we can remove the if condition, the curly braces for both the if and else condition. We can remove the else too. Remove this curly braces. Give that a space. And give a question mark because is locked is a variable which is passed with the if condition, and if it is true, this statement will be locked to the console, else this statement will be locked to the console. So now let's run the code and see if we get an output. You will not need a key to open the door comes correctly. So now refactor, yeah, and this string appears because is locked. The value of is locked is false, and therefore this condition will not be executed because is locked is false again, and therefore this string appears on the console. Refactor the second if-else block to use a ternary operator. Let's do something similar here too. We will remove the if condition, this curly braces, that bracket, this semicolon, and make it a colon, and then remove this curly braces, this else statement, this curly braces too, and remove the space, all this extra space here, give it a space over there, and put a question mark. And now this will execute the same way as the previous code did. So is correct is equal to true. So if is correct is true, the correct will be locked to the console, else incorrect will be locked to the console. Let's run and see what happens. Correct is again locked to the console. Refactor the third if-else block to use a ternary operator. So now the favorite phrase is given the value of love that. So again, let's do something similar here too. Remove the brackets, the if condition, this curly brace, this full line with curly braces, this curly brace too, and inside the semicolon we can put a colon. And yeah, so now notice that we are passing a condition instead of a variable over here. So since we are passing the same condition here and here too, all we have to do is put a question mark at the end of the condition. Now we can again format this code to make it look a bit neater. Give it a space over there. We put the semicolon already. and that's it. Let's see what happens now. I love that is again logged to the console. Else if statements. Remember the else statement, the code block which ran when an if condition returned false? Now we come to an else if statement which run if the first if condition fails and the condition within the parentheses returns true. Just like if conditions, we can have multiple else if conditions for the same scenario. So let's come to this example. We are declaring a variable stop light and giving it a value of yellow. So now we can come to the if conditions. If stoplight is equal to red, we will console.log the value of stop. But now we know that the value of stoplight is yellow, so this if condition returns false. As soon as this returns false, it will go to the next else if statement. So again, the else if statement will execute only if the condition within these parentheses is true. So since stoplight is equal to yellow, the value of slow down will be the string slow down will be logged to the console. So now after this is executed, the code will break, will come out of this else if condition and continue executing the code below it. Let's create a program that keeps track of the way the environment changes with the seasons. Add a conditional statement to make this happen. In main.js, there is already an if-else statement in place. Let's add an else if statement that checks if season is equal to winter. Inside the code block of the else if statement, add a console.log that prints the string it's winter, everything is covered in snow. So we have already declared the variable season and given it the value of summer. All we have to do is come here. We can come below this else block and say else if season is equal to only three equal to's, winter, open a code block over there, console.log. I'm just going to copy this string over here to not get any errors. Control C, Control V. It's copied correctly. Just refactor this code again. Now let's see what happens. Before running, we can just review our code. Season is still summer, and here we are checking if season is equal to spring and season is equal to winter. Both these conditions are false, so the statement within the else condition will be executed. So let's see what happens. Invalid season is indeed logged to the console. We can go to the next instruction. Add another else if statement that checks if season is equal to fall. Inside the code block of the else if statement you just created, add a console.log that prints the string it's fall, the leaves are falling. So again, we push this else condition below and say else if season, let's move this cursor away, season is equal to fall, we can console.log the value it's fall, leaves are falling. Okay, do not copy the console.log, never mind, I'll write it again. It's fall, the leaves are falling. Just again format this code and let's see what happens. Again, this should also not be logged to the console because the season is still summer. Let's see what happens. Invalid season still comes to the console, which is correct. And I do not know why this is not, the instruction is not, okay wait, it's still buffering over here. This will take some time. Yes, it happened. So now the instruction is correct. We can go to the next instruction. Add a final else if statement that checks if the season is equal to summer. Inside the code block of the else if statement you just created, add a console.log that prints a string it's sunny and warm because it's summer. So now again let's push this else one last time below and say else if season is equal to summer, console.log this string with exclamation mark, Control V, and again push this we don't have to push the else statement again. I just like to do it because it makes the code look cleaner. So now this statement should be this statement should be logged to the console because season is indeed summer. Let's see what happens. It's sunny and warm because it's summer. Notice how that the else or the else condition is always below all the else if conditions because the else statement is code which executes only if all of the if conditions are false. The switch keyword. Switch statements are just neat and clean alternatives to if, else if, and else conditions. Notice how this code is very clear, is very untidy because of the amount of if conditions, parentheses, open curly braces, close curly braces, so many keywords, else if, else, etc. So this example with if and else if conditions and this example with the switch condition perform the exact same function. Let's come to this example. We are declaring a variable grocery item and giving it the value of papaya, and we are passing this variable to a switch statement. When JavaScript encounters this case variable, it is basically checking if this variable passed as the switch statement is equivalent to this variable to this value which is given to this case. It is equivalent to asking if grocery item is equal to tomato. So if this case returns a value of true, the statements within this case will be logged to the console. So if grocery item is equal to tomato, the statement tomatoes are $0.49 will be logged to the console. Notice this break statement after this console.log statement. This statement is written at the end of each case, which tells JavaScript to break out of this switch statement as soon as you encounter a true case. This break statement will not be executed because grocery item is papaya and not tomato. Let's come to the next case. Case line means that JavaScript is checking if grocery item is equal to, what do I do here? Wait, let's close this first. Yeah, close that. So now we are checking if grocery item is equal to the string line. We know it's not, so that means even these two statements will not be executed. And now when we come to case papaya, we are checking if the grocery item is equal to the string papaya. We know it is because that's how we declared it. And now since this case returned true, the code within this case will be executed. And now this default is equivalent to saying else. So this code will be executed if this case, and this case will return false. Let's write a switch statement to decide what medal to award an athlete. Athlete final position is already defined at the top of main.js. So start by writing a switch statement with athlete final position as its expression. So let's come over here and say switch athlete final position, and again we have to open and close a pair of curly braces to declare a switch statement. So let's come over here and say run. Let's see what happens to the instruction. It's executed correctly. Inside the switch statement, add three cases. The first case checks for the value first place. If the expression value matches the value of the case, then console.log the string you got the gold medal. The second case checks for the value second place. If the expression's value matches the value of the case, then console.log the string you got the silver medal. The third case checks for the value third place. If the expression's value matches the value of the case, then console.log the string you got the bronze medal. Remember to add a break after each console. This is very important, otherwise after encountering a true value, so okay, let's come at this example and see what happens if you don't put a break. Imagine if this case papaya was and this case lime was swapped. So that means this code would have been case tomato, case papaya, and case lime. But we forgot to put a break statement after case papaya. So since the case papaya is true, this statement will be out to the console. But since we forgot the break statement, all the cases after papaya will be executed again and again. Not again and again, it will just be executed once. But all the cases, irrespective of whether the case is true or false. We don't want that unless some very special situation comes up. So now let's come back to the instructions again and say case. Let's pass in the string first place and give a colon. So this colon means that if athlete final position is equal to first place. So if it is true, we have to console.log this string to the console. I'm going to copy again because I don't want to get errors, and put a break at the end. Let's just indent this a little bit. And now the second case says second place, put another colon over there, and if it is second place, we have to log the console this string you get the silver medal. Copy an extra single quote I think over there. Yeah, I did. Put one more. Yes, you get silver medal, and again break. indent that again, and case third place, third colon, and if that is true, we have to log to the console this string, you got the bronze medal. So now, and put a break at the end. You know what, I'm actually going to not put this break statement to show you what happens if you forget the break statement. First, let me just indent this code. So now we know that this statement will be executed because the first case is satisfied. First place is the value of athlete position is indeed first place, because that's how we declared it. So the first case only will become true. But I have forgot to put a break statement over here. So let's see what happens. You get the gold medal and you get the silver medal is logged to the console. This happens because this first case is true, so this statement is executed. But since there is no break statement, the second case also is executed. And it stops over there because this break statement is there in the second case. This concept is called fall through. If I forget this break statement as well, let me just comment it out. And if I run it, the third statement also will be logged to the console because there is no break statement here. Just commented out. That means it's ignored by JavaScript. So let me just put back the break statement, and we can go to the next instruction. Break. So now ideally only this string, you get the gold medal, should be logged to the console. Let's run and see. You get the gold medal is indeed logged to the console. Second instruction also is complete. We can go to the next instruction. Now add a default statement at the end of the switch that uses console.log to print no medal awarded. If athlete position does not equal any value of our cases, then the string no medal awarded is logged to the console. Remember to add the break keyword at the end of the default case. So let's come over here and say default console.log quotes no medal awarded. Copy that and paste that there and give a break. So what this default means that if all of these three cases are false, they execute this statement. So now this statement will obviously not be executed, but let's run and see again what happens. You get the gold medal is executed, and the instruction is complete. But let's just see what happens if all these three cases are false. So let's come over here and change the value of athlete final position and say fourth place. So now we can see that all of these cases are false, and ideally the string no medal awarded should be logged to the console. Let's run and see what happens. No medal awarded is indeed logged to the console. So that's it for today, guys. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. It will really help me out a lot. And please stay tuned for more further videos. Thank you.